So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to the first of the month, 1st of July. We've had the Q2 close, and yeah, it's since about yesterday we kind of bottomed at 66% short, and we have since seen some long step into the market, but we're still heavily short. So I would definitely watch this to see what happens if we do come lower down into like 104, 105k, which is what I was talking about yesterday. But yeah, we are still heavily short in the market, 60%. Well, not heavily, but 60% is pretty decent. Uh, and yeah, in terms of the order book, I just want to show that that we've got shorts of Bitcoin laddered all the way up. Look, we got 150, 300, 260, 315, 410, 300, 120, 100, 125, 120, 500 at 109.3. So this is really heavy stuff, and we've obviously got some stuff here at 110 as well. 380, 375, and another 220. So a decent amount of orders all the way up in the book, which is quite interesting. Lots and lots of stuff that potentially this can't all be fake. This is very heavily stacked in. So yeah, that's the order book, and that's the long to short ratio. In terms of liquidity, we just have some really locally above the high just then. I think we still have that 109.2, 109.3 stuff, which is still intact. Yeah, this has become even more heavier at 109k now. So it'll be interesting to see if we could take that, or if we're going to leave that for a little bit later. But yes, to the downside, not a whole lot. We do have some stuff at 103.2ish, but yeah, that stuff to the upside is a little bit more immediate. I will say. Maybe we'll just start building some on either side now. If we come back down towards like 104.9 or something. But yeah, let's look at some charts, look at some trade setups, man. So starting off as night with night, we did look at this yesterday, and we have had the bounce, the big bounce on Nike. Um, yeah, maybe time to like start possibly de-risking. I do think this is going to go a little bit higher towards 80, but we have hit 74, and I was saying 75 is going to be the easiest trade of your life on Nike when it was down here about 54. So yeah, we've got that in the short term. Let's have a look at the new Q3 Open. If we just give this a second to load. Okay, it's taking quite a while to load. Oh, it just loaded. So the Q3's opened at around, or the Q2's closed at around 107k, 107.1. Currently look like we're about to test the lows at 106.8. If we do get a close underneath here on the 4 hour, then you can definitely take this short back down to 104.9-ish, which I'll be looking uh, potentially long, depending on the long to short ratio and the price action here. But yeah, if we do get a close below here, this bit, then yeah, bearish retest, bang, easiest short, easy short. And yeah, there's really not too much to say on Bitcoin at the moment. There is some decent trades coming up, to be fair. Uh, at the moment. But yeah, we've got the Q3, which is obviously going to be a nice open, just around like yeah 107.1, 107, which is nice, which is nice, which is nice. ETH. So yeah, we were talking about ETH yesterday, where we were basically just saying that this still looks like a bearish retest. We are obviously holding very locally and going sideways, but on the daily, this still looks like it could potentially come a little bit lower and make fill this fair value gap around 1.9. If it were to come down there, I would definitely be a buyer. I am going to definitely be a buyer down there. Um, let's actually see where these combination bands come in. Not really too great. But yeah, as of right now, still just going sideways. Potentially, you want to see some breakdowns of 2.4 first before you look to short this, and then yeah, kind of similar to Bitcoin, but yeah, it's slightly a little bit different. Solana, yeah, has actually made a new high on the 4 hour. We're still hitting some resistance up here on the 4 hour, literally perfectly on this 4 hour little hip around 157.7. But yeah, this actually looks slightly better, although that did do a sneaky close below. So we did actually do a little breakdown here on the 4 hour and not just yet on the 1 hour. So potentially the next pump from this overlapping supply here is actually a potential short, especially if we can't make a new high. I think if we bearishly retest June, Q3, you got the weekly open and Q4 here. These are all potential areas where you could catch a little head short just due to the fact that this 4 hour candle has closed below there. And then it will look something like that, and it might even just stop there or just stop here. But all in all, I think altcoins are not in the worst place actually, to be honest. They actually look pretty good. So if you're looking for something like maybe a scalp on this, we're literally at the lows right now. Right there. So maybe a little bit more confirmation on the lower time frame. We do have 1 wick into the band, so if you get another one, say you get another candle that looks like we're gonna dump, and like it wicks into the band, and then we get a regain, then it'll be looking really good to at least just take it up to here. On Sol. So yeah, how's the Pepe? The Pepe trade obviously went really well from last week. We hit a few absolute bangers, to be honest. Um, and I think I was saying that we were going to come back down and hit this blue line at around 945, and we have done that. So what's next for this is potentially just to continue going up. You could also, I'm going to take this old Stube off now. Now that we have set a new high, let me just take these off as well. There is potential that you could pull another fib from here to here. Yeah, we seem to be on the 618. This is definitely some sort of support. Or is that? No, that's the 786 line from this fib from on the daily from the 5th of May to the 23rd of May. So I thought this blue line was support, but it's actually the 786 from a larger fib pool. So yeah, there is another potentially bullish Stu belt on Pepe in between here and here, which could be interesting if we do potentially do that, because then it would just be higher lows all the way up, higher low, and higher highs potentially to make another one. Just going with that 4 hour trend for now. But yeah, that was a nice little banger. Popcat also did the thing, and then this is also the new one as well. I think we pulled the fib from here to here, and it hit literally perfectly on the 786 and in the combination band as well. That was another banger. The combination band also comes in exactly around here, so I'm quite happy with potentially doing something on Popcat in between 266 and 258 ish. Will be interesting to see if that happens. Fartcoin. So yeah, I did obviously buy a little bit at 9.4. I literally just got tickled at 9.4, and then my other one at 9.3 didn't get hit. But yeah, this is also just something that I say every time. I'm just going to accumulate. I'm just going to try and accumulate as much as I can, really, underneath $1. And I think I'll probably look back on that and be like, you know what, that was a really good plan. So nothing really more to say on that. Same thing with like hype. It actually looks quite good. Um, yeah, potentially looking at like 35.8 as a little maybe long. And yeah, we did actually catch that uh, last Friday when I was on stream, and I said this is looking like a potentially a good long, and ended up doing like 16% as well. So really, 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 really nice. Um, really, really nice actually. Could potentially come and see a little bit further, like 36.5 to 37.8. Sui has actually made a new high, which is quite nice. Definitely got caught in the combination band with the W reversal, and yeah, potentially we'll see what happens. It is actually holding its daily open slash Q3 at the moment, but on the hourly, it's definitely showing signs of breaking down, especially after making this low and bearishly retesting the March levels. So yeah, potentially just going to come back down into 2.7 and then maybe 2.65 as a potential area of interest, where I do have an alert set to have a little look. Let's see what happens when it comes to it. In terms of other things in the market, I'm not really looking at like a whole lot else. So if you guys have anything that you want me to look at, or I'll just like rattle through some of the big altcoins, feel free. What's interesting on Tau is these combination bands are actually getting really, really tight on the 4 hour, and they haven't actually been hit in a while since here. I guess since here and here they did get hit. Um, but potentially this is just looking like it wants to range between there and there as the high and the low for a little while. So I would say that if you get down towards the lower one at 307, 308, 309, it's potentially a long, and then the top one at 355, 356 is also potentially a short as of right now. But yeah, looking like a interesting long at like 307, 308 for sure, especially if we do come and clear something down here. But yeah, like what you guys thinking? What you guys looking at? Let me know. Render. Oh yeah. Yeah. So you were buying render really nicely. I remember you saying it to me last week. Oh, I've got mad pins and needles in my foot right now. Yeah. Let's have a look at render. Render. 1 second. So yeah, render. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's looking like it just wants to come retest the lows potentially, but I do think this is going to be a good buy overall in the grand scheme of things. We are starting to change this 4 hour trend now, so it's going to be interesting to see how it reacts to this low here. We kind of put in this low as a retest of that, so if we start coming down and hold this combination band and hold this low, what you want to see is a regain of this, and then potentially to make a new high. And then that will definitely be changing the 4 hour, like the 4 hour structure, potentially even the daily structure. That was the daily chart I do want to have a look at. Yeah, so let me just zoom in. On the daily, we've got a low, uh, resistance, and a new high. We also do have a higher low here on the daily, so let's see if we can sort of like do something like this and come up and gain that, and then that will look really potentially very interesting. Like a change of trend. I do think alts are quite close to going on a little run, and not many people are really like that aware of it right now because we've been dumping like heavily on alts for a while, guys. Like really since like just since December, January, really. And we obviously did the bounce in like April into May, and then since May we've just been in like a month or two long downtrend. But we are potentially putting in like double bottom slash macro higher lows uh, on a lot of this stuff, which could actually be quite interesting. So yeah, in the short term on render, yeah, just looking like it wants to come down and test this swing again at like $3. And we'll have to see how it reacts to that. And if it holds that, it's looking like it potentially could climb up further. I think that's going to look like a quite a good spot buy uh, at some point in the future. Just like I keep talking about like Farcoin, like accumulating some of that. I just think it's going to be one of those ones which looks good. And you're going to be like, I wish I did that in a few years' time or something. But yeah, what else? Sometimes let's have a look at like near and stuff. Just because I don't really know. I like looking at things like this to see if there's potentially any trades on. So yeah, it's very locally breaking down. Looks like it also wants to come test the low from Friday, Thursday into Friday, wherever you are in the world, it depends. But yeah, we do have a defined high at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see if we do like hold some of these levels or if we come back down and retest like fully the lows. Um, AVAX again. So this made a new high from here, and we're probably getting quite close to whatever this is. This, yeah, we're literally right about to be on the 786. So this is potentially looking not too bad for a little scalp. I would be a bit cautious with this just to because we have lost this level now as the Q3 and created some overlapping supply in here. So if this does hold, potentially you're looking at this area to take a lot of profit or maybe even get rejected from. But it doesn't look too bad. Not really my favorite. It's not really jumping out of the page at me. Link seems to be holding quite well actually compared to a lot of the other altcoins. Not really breaking down as easy and has built up some support around 12.75 to let's call it 12.9. So yeah, definitely an interesting one there actually. Uh, Yeah, that looks like something that's holding up actually relatively well. Not really the best for trading. If you want to potentially scalp this, then yeah, but you've got like the weekly open, and maybe between these two combination bands, you could maybe make a little play. Or even actually a little bit lower just on this August and 8.7, 12.87 level. Last but not least, we'll have a just quick look at injective. So yeah, I've still got this bullish Stuba on, and I've also got an alert set for around 9.7. We do have the 618 coming in around the combination band, but this looks like it wants to co-test the lows. Um, yeah, we do have a lot of support down here, so potentially like 8.9, 9, 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, and then again at like 9.6, 9.7 could be potential areas where you could see a bounce if we do come down into that. But yeah, apart from that, there's a few things that are wrecked, like Matic, Tia, Dot. I haven't really teched Ada in a long time, actually. Yeah, Ada just looks a little bit wrecked as well. So yeah, which is why I keep banging on about Vaultcoin and hype so much. But yeah, let's have a look. Agree. Checked Sol Bitcoin chart and it's mimicking the start of June 2020. Oh yeah, that's actually a really fucking good idea, bro. Soil? No, Sol BTC. Wait, how can I? Apparently I can't do that. Do you know what? I will just check the Sol DOM. I've got Sol DOM here. How can you check? Why can't I check the Sol BTC chart? Sol DOM doesn't look that good, but ARB. We'll have a look at ARB. Sol Bitcoin equals trigger was last night. Sol ETF blah 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 noise. Yeah, but history about to rhyme June to September 2020 on the daily time frame. Jack, please check Sol and the Sol Bitcoin charts. Yo, why doesn't it come up for me? Sol. Maybe I gotta put Sol dot BTC. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. 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 So yeah, this is looking still locally quite bearish. This is definitely a bearish retest of this level. Um, let's just do a little bit of charting on this weekly. So that, and then we could also do this. So, okay. Just from looking at this straight away, you can see that we've got an interesting level of confluence here, which is around this swing and this 786. Um, I think potentially that looks quite interesting. This is also the high here. So yeah, we've also got some support on the daily. I think that's also the daily swing down back here. I think potentially we could see a little bit lower first, but I definitely think once we get down here, it could be looking quite good. Yeah, yeah, I definitely think that could look quite good. Let's just check where these weekly bands are, bro. Okay, once this gets down to once this gets down to 0.0012 between there and one, basically just 0.0011 and 12, I think this is going to look really busty. potentially all the way back up in between here and here. Something like this, and then that, all the way back down to the lows. That's what I think. Someone clip that. I'm actually going to screenshot this. I'll probably forget about it, but just clip that shit. But yeah, apart from that, not really, kind of a bit of boring price action at the moment. So if no one's really got anything else to talk about, I might just call it nice and early. I will just reiterate. I will just reiterate that this weekly chart really does not look good. I've got to just be honest here and just tell you about what I'm seeing. Now, at the start of this weekly candle, when we were up here, okay, the combination band yesterday was arcing up. But because the candle hasn't closed yet, it's still straight. So this is why with the combination bands, with the whole strategy and stuff, you have to wait for the candle to close. Because it will change. Especially when you're like scalping lower time frames, it will just change depending on where the candle closes. And this just looks like we're bearishly divvying massively on the weekly time frame. We've also got a mental bearish div on the retail stablecoin demand. And we just are in the combination band. It just, like, I'm not saying this is the top, but it wouldn't surprise me to see at least this. At least that. And then this is going to come up towards here, this weekly combination band. And what we're basically going to get is like a very, very defined range between here and here. With this, which is what I've just drawn on, 94k, 93k being the midpoint. I don't know, man. That just doesn't really look that bullish. Like, if we zoom in as well on this weekly chart, what have we done? We've had a breakdown, and we've done a bearish retest right now. I don't know, man. The only outlier in that is that the long to short ratio is more short, but that can change, especially if we start coming down. That can just change. Like if we come back down here, then everyone and their dog longs, and it's like 65% long. We're gonna make a new low. Like we're gonna go back down to 93k, easy. So yeah, just a little word of warning at the end of that. So Bitcoin, just an idea, but the price action suggests the trigger was last night as it mimicked June 2020, strapping for some crazy swings in price. Yeah, MDX called Bitcoin to slow dump into 90k, which is confluence. Yeah, bro, like, I'm not gonna lie, it feels like, it just feels like we could get that really, really boring slow grind summer where, like, over the next 2 months, like, we just really just like crab it. We really just crab it down into like 90, 93k, and everyone is so bored by the end of August. And then it just starts like picking up like really, really fast. Like we just start really, really picking up. And we do sort of like the last drive into like September, October, November. We do like the last drive, and that's where altcoins go crazy. But they don't go crazy in terms of like last cycle. They go crazy in terms of like they do like 200% from wherever they bottom, maybe 300% depending on like what coin we're looking at, and then that's just it. And then we completely reverse it, bear market time back down to like 50k, 50, 60k. It's just or we could just we could just range between 110k and 80k for like a year, and then have some extended cycle. I really don't know, but it just feels a little bit, yeah, a little bit strained. I'm definitely in agreement with that chart that you posted. But yeah, it did the lower low and then just had a major swing in price. Interesting for sure. And that would explain why we're going to get maybe what it says 100 days around. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's 100 days of consolidation. Hmm, possibly. Possibly, bro. So shitcoins now equals wife changing money. Nah, man, I'm really not messing around with that stuff too much. Just for fun, yeah. But I'm gonna stick to my Filecoin and my hype and my. I'll trade some shitcoins on Hyperliquid and stuff like that. But yeah, if anyone got anything they want me to look at or anything else they want to talk about, if not, I think we'll keep it nice and that's just short and concise today. All good. Thanks for the show. No worries, brother. Thanks for joining in. And yeah, it seems like we're gonna have a little bit of a boring, maybe boring week or couple days, but all the setups were at the end of last week. I literally went on the most generational run. If you go and watch it, does anyone, if anyone cares, like literally go to my YouTube. Let me just link it. Go to my YouTube and watch Thursday or Friday's stream, especially Friday's stream, bro. Oh my god, I literally had a generational run. But anyway, yeah. I literally called like 5 bangers, and also had the shorts in earlier on in the week. But yeah, I think I'll leave it there.